Hey guys, looks like I have to redo my video. I guess my fan kicked on and you could only hear me talking over a fan, and that's not cool for me and not cool for you. Um, Fantasy football deadline's coming up, and it's either time to make a trade and get better in your league, or you sit back and watch others get better in your league. Well, last night I made a huge trade in my Keeper Dynasty League with my buddy Brandon. People aren't very happy with it. He's number one in scoring. I think I'm number 3 or 4 in scoring right now. But over the last 2 or 3 weeks, I've shot up that group in scoring because I've made a lot of trades. In some aspects, I'm upset about one of the trades. I got rid of DeAndre Hopkins, who's blown up all of a sudden. Will Fuller and QT were taking a lot of spots away from him. And I looked at it at a time that I should get rid of him, especially with the schedule he has coming up. But he had a good group where he was facing, where I think he could actually score a lot of points, and he ended up doing that. But I made some big trades. As soon as I joined this league, I joined 2 weeks into the league. I was 0-2 starting, and since then I'm 3-3. So I'm 3-1 over the last 4 weeks, including the highest score this week. Last night I made a monster trade. Okay, my 4 running backs I had last night were Saquon Barkley, James White, Sony Michel, and Joe Mixon. Looking at Joe Mixon's schedule for the next 8 weeks is ridiculous for him. Okay, he will score 20 to 25 points minimum in a PPR league. He could even have a monster. He's averaging a touchdown a week anyway. Even going against teams that are pretty decent against the run. He will not be playing teams against the run that are tough against him soon. So that was a big deal, me trying to keep Joe Mixon. Obviously, I'm a huge Sooner fan, so I have a jersey signed by Joe. And so it was, I'm a kind of a homer in that aspect. I really liked keeping him. Receivers, I have Juju Smith-Schuster, Joe Mixon, not Joe Mixon, Brandon Cooks, and Robbie Anderson. I'm not deep at receiver at all, and that was what was really pushing me to do this trade. I'm okay at linebacker. Zach Cunningham is a guy I traded away last night. Now I get that Zach Cunningham is going to have 100% of snaps, but if I could group together a trade that could get me a beneficial and a better linebacker than Zach Cunningham and a deeper receiver, I'm willing to do it. So I did it. I proposed to trade it for Darius Leonard, who's the number 1 linebacker in the league, and Michael Thomas, who is the number 1 targeted receiver in the league. Even with a bye week, he's still top 5 receiver heading into week 7. So, and he's probably the number 1 receiver. I mean, he was the number 1 receiver the top 3 weeks of the season, especially in a PPR league. So I gave Zach Cunningham and Saquon Barkley up for Darius Leonard and Michael Thomas. I keep a solid running back core. My receiving core might be number 1 in the league right now because of it, if not number 2. Brandon still has an extremely strong team, and people are very upset about this trade for me. I looked at 25 different draft scenarios to different people to make my team better. And Fantasy Pros basically said this was the best option for you to do if you could pull it off. So I did. We pulled the trade off, and people are kind of hot about it, especially one of our buddies, Adam, in the group. He is pissed, right? He's like, well, Jared, congratulations on leaving, Brandon as the champion, But if you look at Fantasy Pros, it looks like I'm going to be the guy to beat. We have another guy that's scoring stupid points, but he has had ridiculous matchups in the first 6 weeks of the season. Now, I don't think he has good matchups after this. He faces a lot of top-tier teams defensively, and I'm okay with that because we need to bump him out. And me and Brandon are trying to win this thing so people can hate on us. And it's not a lot of colluding. I think it's a fair trade for me and him, and people hate it for us because I've come in and I've traded everybody, right? I've made some big trades, a lot of big trades, and I think that's what makes fantasy football fun. If you're in a group that is willing to make a lot of trades and a lot of transactions, then that's where the fun part of fantasy football comes in. I've already paid for my league dues for next year, just because I'm committed to this league. I think it's going to be fun, and we might redraft the year after that. I know some people in the bottom half of the league can't wait to redraft because they feel like they got screwed over. Whatever. But if we redraft that next year, the people who are last, it's going to be probably put out a hat anyway, and we're going to figure out who's number 1, number 2 draft picks anyway. So it's a fun league. Please let me know what you guys think. Let me know what draft picks you're thinking about doing. I'm always willing to help. It's a lot of fun for me, and I hope it's fun for you. Shout out to my buddy Eric, who has been slowly hanging on to in his fantasy league. He was thrashed by injuries. He also drafted Le'Veon Bell. And I'm going to tell you right now, Le'Veon Bell is not going to play next week, the week after. I don't think they pull James Conner. It's kind of like when Dak Prescott came in for Tony Romo. You rode the horse because that's who's riding strong. And when you got a guy who's scoring 30 points in fantasy a week and who's, as a team, he's averaging 100 yards rushing a game. He's receiving well in the backfield. He runs dudes over. And he's a perfect story for Pittsburgh because he fought cancer, beat cancer, and he's a Pittsburgh guy. So he's a perfect formula for Pittsburgh, right? They love him. I don't think Le'Veon Bell comes back and plays. I think if he does come back, he's going to get traded. But the thing is, he needs to sign his tender by week 8. But he's already lost out on like $9 million. So I guess he doesn't care about that. He's been suspended twice. He's been injured, right? In Le'Veon Bell. So he's a perfect trade candidate for them, because they could get it. They're going to get a number 1 for him for sure. So if you have Le'Veon Bell, trade him. Somebody is gullible enough to take his ass, and it's not this guy. So have fun. Let me know what you think. Holler at me later. Again, like and subscribe. I'll put a video up every week. I'll try to put a video up every couple days if possible. Thanks.